be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps support the show. You can also go over to The Grizzly Gentleman, use the same promo code for also 10% off at checkout. What's up, Planeswalkers? Theric 6, no hair, back with some more M21 previews. Now, I believe tomorrow, which is today for all of you, it'll be the end of previews, essentially. And what I'm going to likely do, because I think most of them are just going to be the commons and uncommons, there might be some rares and mythics tucked away in there, is I think I'm going to just record a video on some of the remaining... Gosh, sorry, I don't know why I'm so burpy right now. Some of the remaining cards that matter, essentially. And then make skeletons of a few of the... I don't know what's happening. Future standard builds. One of them being this. Although this I might make this historic. I don't know enough. Hooded Blightfang is a 3-mana 1/4 Death Touch Snake with amazing art. Fantastic. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Fantastic. I do like the ability to have a little bit of that life drain. Who doesn't love it? Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals damage to a Planeswalker, destroy that Planeswalker. This is something that I believe Noxious, hilariously, is a champion of, which is Death Touch just killing Planeswalkers outright. I don't think that all creatures with Death Touch should do that. I seem to dislike Planeswalkers less than many other content creators. I think recently there have been too many generically good Planeswalkers. I really think that Planeswalkers should be quite narrow in their use, their application. But this card as a Death Touch Lord is really fantastic, especially when you combine it with things like the 4-mana Vraska. Even if the 4-mana Vraska is not very good, this card's still decently nice. What's especially nice is that it has a 1/4 body, so it's a little bit less likely to bite the dust to some nonsense. I mean, it dies to many things, but what's great is that if you do have, turn 1 Death Touch creature, turn 2 Death Touch creature, which I believe you can actually just do in standard. Yeah, turn 1, the Dire Vampire or whatever, and then... Is it Dire? Yeah, it's like Vampire of the Dire Moon or something. Something of the Dire Moon? Something like that. And then turn 2, you have Mire Trident. I'm sure there's something else, but Mire Trident. Then turn 3 this, even if, it gets killed at sorcery speed, let's say, you get those nice triggers off of your Death Touch creatures, which is pretty cool. So I really do like Hooded Blightfang. Jesus fucking Christ. And I will be playing a Death Touch travel deck. Glorious Anthem is a reprint that has not been reprinted in a bit at this point. Holy shit! The last actual reprint appears to have been 10th edition. Madness. Anyway, creatures you control get +1/+1. That's it. It doesn't matter what type of creatures they are, what color of creature they are. They just get +1/+1. Is this super strong? I don't think so. At first I thought this was 1 angel with 4 swords and 6 wings. I realize now that it's 3 angels, one of which has 2 swords. Still. I don't... I'm trying to think about, White Weenie. Whether or not White Weenie would want this in Standard. Or even in Historic, right? Because Historic has Banalish, Marshall. And I feel like they would tend to go for Marshall above this. And then the Artifact deck would go for Tempered Steel. I don't know. I don't think so, but... Palladium Mirror. For what it's worth, I think they should be pronounced Myrrh, because they are meant to look like ants, and the term Myrmidon, which Myrrh has some sort of derivation with ants, whatever, it doesn't matter. The term Myrmidon was stated by Mark Rosewater to be the inspiration of this card. However, the official pronunciation is Mir, and not Myrrh. It should be Myrrh. So not only is there canid unification, it should be Myrrh is better than Mir. this is reprint, but I don't really care about this in Standard. Obviously, in Standard, this can do stupid things. I mean, you have Leyline of Abundance, which could be stupid. You have Eugene, 8-mana Eugene coming back to Standard, so like it helps with that as well. What I'm interested in is this is good ramp for my colorless historic deck that I've been trying to play, where you ramp into Eldrazi Titan and or Ugins. This makes it better. Other than that, meh. Scavenger Ooze, getting a reprint. Always worthwhile. This card is going to be super helpful. Let me see the other print for this, yeah. Essentially, you get to just play mid-range again. This is a great Abzan card, it's a great Jund card, great Sultai card, great green X, often X, aggro, or mid-range. It's nice because the amount of graveyard shenanigan things that are occurring in Standard right now. You can exile Earls with this. You can exile Urro's food with this, just to toy with your opponent, because it's funny. You get to gain life, and put a 1/1 counter on it, if it was a creature. Otherwise, you just get to exile things from the yard. You know, your opponent playing with Cameras in sight, you only get one use now. Your opponent's trying to get things back with Elspeth Conquers Death. No, I'm going to go ahead and eat that. I'm going to eat that real good. Obviously, the fact that this is now in Historic is sweet. This can go into green in taxes. It also can just go into an Abzan mid-range list that I'm still working on, because I really just want Siege right now. Raja, Heart of Kel, the third Raja, been printed. And she's super cool. For what it's worth, I think she's like a half-elf. Because I read the Time Spiral book with Radia in it. And I remember her being half something. But I don't remember what. Regardless, 3-mana 3/3 seems decent. As long as your turn, she has first strike. Seems decent. She's meant to be aggressive. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands for them from the top of your library. Why? For what it's worth, I believe all of the Rajas so far have cared about mana. So I assume that's why. I guess it makes sense. She's from like 2 lands as well, so yeah, okay, sure, that makes sense. But also 6 mana, Raja gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. Get fucking swole. She gets +X. She doesn't become base power XX. So if you have exactly 6 lands, she's a 9/9. Doesn't have trample, but she does have first strike. But still, some sort of weird ramp fling combo with this, quite funny. I don't know. She's cool. Sublime Epiphany. 4 blue instants. Choose 1 or more. Counter target spell. Counter target activated a triggered ability. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hands. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Target player draws a card. I'm very happy about the last line of text because it's target player, not draw a card. So it's cool. You can force your opponent to kill themselves. This is 1 or more. You can technically choose all of the modes on this fucking card. So let's say your opponent has activated some sort of spell ability that you don't like. So what you do in response is you not trick bind, but the Tail's End. There we go. You cast Tail's End on that ability because you don't want to just use your Sublime Epiphany for that. Then they counter it. All right, fuck you. Counter the spell. Counter your activated ability. Not only that, I'm going to put that creature back in your hand. I'm going to make a token creature of my 1/1 that draws a card or something, and then I'm going to draw a card anyway, because fuck you. I love and hate this card. Is it going to see play in Standard? Maybe, I don't know. As I said, I do think blue-white control has a lot of potential to be super annoying. In Historic, I think this card has more potential to be really, really annoying, because of, once again, blue-white control. Turn 1, tap land. Turn 2, counterspell. Turn 3, Teferi. Turn 4, Teferi. Turn 5, Teferi. Turn 6, hold up Sublime Epiphany, as well as a draw spell. Continue until you've won. Kaitsa Freebooter's back. She's a card. I don't care that she's back, because she only really matters to Standard, because I play Historic mostly, and Standard sucks. Shacklegeist is a pseudo-geist lord. 2 mana for a 2/2 flying spirit. Cool. Shacklegeist can block only creatures with flying. Fair. Tap 2 untapped spirits you control. Tap target creature you don't control. Cool. I don't think this matters for spirits, even in the modern or pioneer spirits deck. I think they have better spirits in general, but more spirit support is always nice. Isn't there? Oh, F? Standard? No. Okay. It's not historic either. I thought there was some nonsense. Oh, yeah, Supreme Phantom. Okay. Yeah, we do have a Spirit Lord. I still don't think it's going to be needed. But still, it's cool. Volcanic Geyser seeing a reprint. Banefire, this is not. That's about it. I mean, it's an uncommon, sure, but Banefire, this is not. Experimental Overlord, Overload, not Overlord. I'm a little afraid of, but Narset something. I can't remember what it was called, the 4-mana Narset card from ikoria. Didn't see play, so this probably won't either. Create an XX blue and red weird creature token where X is the number of instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. Then you may return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, exile this. So obviously you have to exile it, because otherwise you could keep getting each other. So you Experimental Overload, you target the other Overload in your graveyard, put it back in your hand, this goes to your graveyard. You repeat the process a bunch. Sure. Makes sense why they have exile. You don't get to cast the rebought spell for free. Makes sense. I always worry about cards that do something and give you a card. Get you a selected card back from your graveyard. I should be more specific. This is Garrick's Homeland. Not a lot of identifying information, let's be honest. And in the reveal article on the mothership, once again, not exactly a lot of identifying information. So we still don't know all that much about Garrick's Homeland. We know that people there are assholes, and they made Garrick an asshole. If I recall correctly, Garrick saw his dad die or some shit. 9 lives. First of all, I'm going to address. Actually have this written down. This is Jazal. Jazal Goldmane, I believe. This is Marisi. This, I think, is Wasatora. This is Jedit of Ojanin. I don't know. This is Kira, hilariously. This is Ahrabo. This is Miri. And this is Kemba. This information was posted on Twitter by the artist. So it's cool. That is kind of interesting because these two were alive at the same time. I think technically these two were alive at the same time, maybe? And last we checked, Kihira's still alive. So a lot of people, like, it's not canon, right? Like, these cats aren't dead and in this cat, okay? But the idea is cool. Anyway, 3-mana enchantment. The enchantment has hexproof. If a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When 9 lives leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So there's a card that a lot of people are hoping, including myself, is going to be in Amonkhet Remastered. And that's Solemnity. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So what you do is you have 9 lives out and Solemnity out, and then you're like, nah, I'm just gonna not die. I'm gonna cast Approach the Second Sun. I'm just gonna chill and not die. Thanks. Throw some counter spells in there. You don't need kill spells. You don't need board wipes. You just have 9 lives of Solemnity. You might need kill spells. Well, no, you just have anything that can give protection to enchantments, and you protect your enchantments. You have Ailsid, for example. This card's funny. It's not going to see play in Standard. It's going to be meme decks. You're going to see, you're going to see your boy, probably Merchant, play a nonsense deck with this, with Petra on stream. If I play this deck, I'll show my cat on stream. That sounded weird. Show my cat on stream. We're gonna move on. Sanctum of Tranquil Light. Sanctum. This is a shrine. There are new shrines. Makes sense why they added the shrines in Historic. I do believe these are all still on Kamigawa. I don't know if there's confirmation of that, but I'm fairly certain that they are. All of the flavor texts are in basic haikus. The white one sucks. 1 mana. Cool, we have a shrine on 1. That's nothing to scoff at. 6 mana, tap target creature. You can do it multiple times, but still. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control. So I guess it's always 5, right? Because it includes itself. So technically it's always 4 and a white minimum. Sure. And then once you have a total of 5 out, well then this only costs a single white to activate. And then it's pretty good. The other shrines make you win the game real fast. This one makes you potentially not lose the game real slowly. Because in a shrine deck, you don't want to be using a ton of your mana to tap down a single creature. You're going to want to add more shrines to the board. Or protect your shrines. Or wipe the entire board so that you aren't under a lot of pressure. This one seems bad. Like, actively bad. And a lot of people think that all of the new ones are bad when compared to the Hundens, the other shrines. But I think the Sanctums have roles, especially considering a lot of them are relatively cheap in terms of mana costs. But this one just seems bad. Sanctum of Calm Waters, 4 mana. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards. May. Very important. I believe the Honden is a must. And actually, I'll double check once I get to the last Sanctuary, actually. But you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, discard a card. So at the bare minimum, with just 1 out, this is a loot. You draw 1, discard 1. Or, you have 2 out, you draw 2, discard 1. So now you're at card advantage, and you're getting to dig further down to find your other Sanctums or Hondens, your shrines. Cool. Only costs 4 mana. Nice. Sanctum of Stone Fangs. 2 mana for a black one. Cool. The beginning of your pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. The gaining of X life is what is relatively important on this. The fact that it costs 2 mana is fantastic. Do not get me wrong. But being able to gain a little bit more life against your opponent is going to help you to not die against an aggressive deck and set up the rest of your shrines. Against a control deck, you can play this and they start getting drained real fast and they get real annoyed. And if they don't have ways to mass remove enchantments, they're going to be in a pretty bad position. Sanctum of Shattered Heights, 3 mana. You can pay 1, discard a land card or shrine card. Sanctum of Shattered Heights deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines you control. I believe technically, this is just a lot worse than the Honden, the Red Honden. I believe the Red Honden also costs 3, and I think it deals damage to any target equal to the number of shrines you control. This one you have to discard and pay a thing for. So I think this one is just like kind of objectively worse. Sanctum of the Fruitful Harvest, 3 mana at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add X mana of any one color where X is the number of shrines you control. This one is insanity, because this one helps you cast all the rest of your shrines, right? You have even just this one out. You have 3 mana already. This doesn't say any mana that you could produce, right? This is any 1 mana of any color. So you have at least 3 mana out, or at least 3 lands out, sorry. And let's say you don't even get your other land drop. You play this, or sorry, you have this. Being your pre-combat main phase, you add a white. You can play the White Honden, that one costs 4. You can play the White Honden. Next turn, you still don't have any more lands, but now you have a second Honden. You now have 5 mana. You play the Blue Honden. I believe the Blue Honden costs 5. And you can keep going like this. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest is going to be like the one shrine that you play 4 of. I think the rest of the shrines is going to be 1, 2, and 3. 3 maybe, like 3 for like the red shrine probably, and the black shrine probably, because I think the red Honden and the white Sanctum, and the black Sanctum, not the white Sanctum. And then many of them you just play 1, like the white Sanctum. The red Sanctum, you probably only play one of as well. And then, you know, the rest that are decent, you play two. You want to see them sometimes, you don't want to see them too much. But this one you want to see every single game. For what it's worth, the blue Sanctuary and the red Sanctuary do at least give you something to do with the extra shrines that you've used. Oh my god, I'm just realizing. Niambi also gives you something to do with those shrines, because the shrines are legendary. Interesting. Sanctum of All. 5-color shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. It's like the curse card, but for shrines. And if someone destroyed one of your shrines, you get to put it back into play. But other than that, what does this do to be a normal shrine? Well, technically nothing, but that's fine. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. So essentially, this does act as a 6th shrine once you have the other 5. So let's just look at the Hundens, right? You got white, blue, black, red, green. Those 5 Hundens. You play this one, that's the 6th Honden, right? So that's why it's control 6 or more. This is the 6th Honden, cool. It triggers 1 additional time. Essentially, once you get enough, it treats it as one of the actual shrines. That like matters. Oh no, I guess it treats itself twice. Yeah, right, sorry. That's what I meant to say. It doubles up the shrine, right? So you have all 5 of those. They each trigger 5 times. You play Sanctum of All. They would ordinarily just trigger 6 times if they trigger 7. Sorry. So now that we have all of these, I'm gonna go, because fucking who cares? This is my channel. I'll do what I want. We'll look at all of the shrines holistically, right? So, no, okay. No. This is any target. Yeah, this is any target. Yeah. So let's sort them by color so that we can have comparisons. This Honden, like this Honden, is decent because it gains you life. It allows you to stay alive. This Honden pretends to allow you to stay alive, but it costs so much mana. I cannot fathom why this fucking exists. And you might be saying, well, Honden of Seeing Winds is just better than Sanctum of Calm Waters, isn't it? Yes and no. The ability is technically better in that it just draws you cards. You don't have to discard. But it is worse in that you have to draw cards. And you might be thinking, well, that shouldn't actually matter. It can. If for some reason you don't have, you don't have your damage dealing Hondens out yet, you could just draw your deck. You could draw your deck not because necessarily you're not finding your Hondens. Like, you can find your Hondens, but if you have fewer cards in deck, then you have time to kill your opponent via one of these or whatever. Then that could be a real situation. Calm Waters doesn't have that issue. So it also costs 1 less, which is important. I think both of the black ones are very serviceable. I do think Sanctum of Stones is slightly better than Honden of Night's Reach. That's just entirely because of the fact that this does protect your life total a bit. That's why I kind of consider out of the non-fruitful harvest Hondens, I think my favorite are Stonefang's Infinite Rage, and Cleansing Fire. I think these are my personal favorites, just because they do exactly what I want. This one allows me to destroy pretty much anything. This one lets me drain my opponent and gain life, and this one just is a slightly higher life total. Followed by, honestly, Calm Waters and Night's Reach. Then Life's Web, Seeing Winds. Then even Sanctum over this. I don't see this being good. I just don't see it being good. But I could be super wrong. I guess this can be seen as like a bonus Infinite Rage. Because one of the issues with Infinite Rage, right, is if you're staring down the barrel of a bunch of creatures, you only get to kill one at a time. This one, like, you killed the biggest, and then this one you discard an excess land or excess shrine, and you get to kill the second biggest or something. Sure, fine. Night's Reach is decent for discarding cards from your opponent, but in many circumstances it doesn't matter, mainly aggro. But yeah, This card is nuts. So I'm going to be playing. Fuck standard shrines, frankly. Like, I had this stuff in Historic. I'm playing Historic. I'm absolutely going to be playing this in Historic. And let's see, what do I think about Brawl implications here? I mean, there are only 11 of them. But in Brawl, right, let's say you're running a 26 land Brawl deck, right? It's 5-color Kenrith cards, right? Let's say Kenrith because I can. It's 5-color. We're not playing Niv Mizzet because we're not a bad person. We're playing Kenrith because we are still a bad person. 26 lands. Minus the Kenrith, of course, so that's 27. So that leaves, what, 23? No, 33? Yeah, that leaves 33 cards in the rest of the Brawl deck. And 11, yeah, I mean, 11 out of the 33 would be a third of the cards that are remaining. And then the rest are other control elements. Yeah, I could see this. I could see this being a reasonable, like, one-ofs in a Brawl deck. Especially if you're, like, heavy on into the enchantment theme. Because that makes these even better. So you have some things to protect all of your enchantments. You have a bunch of other, like, just generally decent enchantments. A lot of the... What are the damn cards I'm thinking of? The Constellation cards, as well as the Saga cards. Yeah, no, this seems fine. I have to write that shit down. Because I think that's one of the decks I'm going to make tomorrow. Enchant... Brawl... Historic. I will not remember, so I have to write it down. Moving on, finally. My apologies for the digression. Fuck you. Baron, Tellurian, Archmage, obviously the Professor revealed this one. 3 mana, 2/2, Human Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, return up to one other target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. So you can't choose Baron itself. Sure. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. So what's interesting about this is that Baron can be used to bounce something annoying from your opponent. But it can also be used to bounce something of yours. Not only to reset it, potentially, if it has a negative enchantment placed on it, or you've had to minus your planeswalker. Now you get to bounce it back to your hands. Doesn't have the enchantment, or you can plus your planeswalker now, or get another minus, for example. And then you get a little bit of extra bonus stuff. I think Baron's cool. Yeah, I think Baron's cool. Mistral Singer. Excuse me? This is just a strictly better Windrake? I don't care. Rhynie does continually good art. I love the shipwrecks here. I love the flavor text on here. It's very sad, and it makes me wonder, like, if the Siren... Like, it's very interesting, because it makes me question whether or not the Sirens mean to do the harm that they do, or at least this one. Because, obviously, there are shipwrecks here. So, I assume she is the one who is essentially leading these sailors to their death. But it seems like she is sad. I don't know if she's looking for someone who is immune to her call, or like immune to the negative effects of her call, if you would say. But it makes me think about the flavor, and that's very important. Ghostly Pilferer is a 2-mana 2/1 Spirit Rouge. Whenever Ghostly Pilferer becomes untapped, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Makes sense. Whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. I like that. It's very interesting. Should it be on a white card? Yep. I think that effect could be on a white card. Discard a card. Ghostly Pilferer can't be blocked this turn. So what's really cool about this is that it's very Melvin-y, right? You like all of what it does. It's a 2-mana 2/1. Reasonable. It doesn't make sense for this to have super good stats, and I even mean a 2/2 as good stats. You can discard a card to make it so that it can't be blocked. And what's really nice about this is not only do you want to be getting through for damage, but you also want it to be able to become untapped. And one of the best ways to do that is to attack with it. So it attacks, you untap, you get to pay 2 and draw a card to feed into it not being able to be blocked. But also, just because that may not always be sustainable, you get this boon of whenever your opponent casts some nonsense from somewhere that isn't their hands, you say, and you take some of that value. So I really do like this. Unleash Fury. I don't know where this is from. Like what plane this is from. But my man's has a real bad haircut. And a terrible handlebar. Good punch though. Fucked up this Minotaur. Unleash Fury, 2-mana instant, double the power of target creature until end of turn. Galta, Unleash Fury, Fling. Ulamog, Unleash Fury, Fling. Ulamog, Fling, Hidetsugu, second rights. Torgar, Hidetsugu, second rights. Torgar, Unleash Fury, Fling, hope that your opponent has dealt 6 damage to themselves, or you've dealt 6 damage. Memes. So you have to find a way to cheat those things in, and then just Unleash Fury, Fling. It's fine. It's simple. It's easy. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Anyway, I've lost my mind. I'd like to thank all my patrons for the continued support. If you'd like to join them and support the show, you'll find links to that down in the description. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add subscription, share mana pool, cast a comment in the comment section down below, pass the turn in the vid to some of your friends, and of course, until next time, I will be one.